Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So today there's going to be some more payments going out to Social Security beneficiaries on average of right around $1,800. We're going to be discussing who is going to be receiving these payments as well as the remainder payment schedule for the month of June. Also, with the latest inflation data released yesterday, we're going to be going over the new predictions for what the COLA should be for next year for Social Security beneficiaries. But before I go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so as I just mentioned, of course, the latest inflation data was released yesterday. And over the course of this year, inflation has come down a little bit in some areas. Of course, in other areas, it has been staggering a little bit. It's been dragging its feet, a little bit stubborn. So we're hoping to see the other areas come down as well. And in the report yesterday, there were, of course, some good news and then also some bad news. And we've been really closely tracking this because, of course, what the inflation is, what the CPIW is really going to factor in what the cost of living adjustment for 2024 is going to be. And of course, this really matters to a lot of us because it's what we spend on. We've been losing the value of our dollar over the past few years because inflation, quite frankly, has just been out of control. If we go to the grocery store, prices are higher. We're going to the gas pumps, prices are higher. Everywhere we're going, prices are just getting higher and higher and making it a lot more difficult for every American to get by, unfortunately. But according to CNBC, inflation rose at a 4% annual rate in May, the lowest in 2 years. So the inflation rate cooled in May to its lowest annual rate in more than 2 years, likely taking pressure off the Federal Reserve to continue raising interest rates, the Labor Department reported on Tuesday. The Consumer Price Index, which measures changes in a multitude of goods and services, increased just 0.1% for the month, bringing the annual level down to 4% from 4.9% in April. That 12-month increase was the smallest since March of 2021, when inflation was just beginning to rise to what would become the highest in 41 years. And as they mentioned there, of course, today, the Federal Reserve is going to decide whether or not to raise interest rates once again. Over the past year or so, they have been raising interest rates very aggressively. They do this to tame inflation, to make sure that inflation goes down. Now, it's being predicted that they might actually pause rates where they won't raise them, nor will they lower them. So they might pause them for maybe the next 6 months. And if inflation gets back under control, at that point, they might begin to lower them once again. And of course, this is going to matter a lot because things like your credit card, over the past, months or so, you probably have seen your interest rates on your credit cards or any variable interest rates increasing. That's because the Federal Reserve has been increasing interest rates. So the article goes on to say that excluding volatile food and energy prices, the picture wasn't as optimistic. So-called core inflation rose 0.4% on the month and was still up 5.3% from a year ago, indicating that while price pressures have eased somewhat, consumers are still under fire. So obviously, like I mentioned, in other areas other than food and energy, prices are still high. Prices are still dragging our feet and just being a little bit stubborn there to come back down to what we're used to. And they're probably not ever going to come down to what we're used to, but at least, at the very least, they may not continue to increase. And of course, with these new inflation data, we now have some new predictions coming out for what the COLA will be next year in 2024 for Social Security beneficiaries. And that prediction is, drum roll, 2.7%. So according to MSNBC, Social Security cost of living adjustment may be 2.7% in 2024, new estimate finds. So new government data shows the annual rate of inflation dipped to the lowest level in about 2 years as of May, but that may be bittersweet news for Social Security beneficiaries as they may receive a much lower cost of living adjustment in 2024 than they did this year. The Social Security COLA could be 2.7% in 2024 based on the latest Consumer Price Index data, according to the Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan senior group. So according to the Senior Citizens League, though, older consumers are reporting little improvement in their household spending yet. While the inflation rate has slowed, prices have remained high in certain essential spending categories. 62% of survey participants report food costs as their fastest growing cost. Housing costs are the biggest concern of 22% of survey respondents. However, since January of this year, the actual inflation rate as measured by the CPIW was lower than the amount older Americans received in their 8.7% COLA, so of course that's very good news. That difference theoretically should provide a modest temporary improvement in buying power of roughly $52 per month for a retiree with average benefits of $1,694. So of course this is good news that inflation is coming down, because the adjustment that we received in January of 8.7%, that has been higher than what the inflation rate has been every single month this year. That means that instead of having to catch up to our buying power, it's kind of holding its value in what we're actually receiving. So of course this is very good news, even though we're going to be receiving a little bit less of a COLA next year. We definitely do not want to be receiving COLAs of 8 to 12% every single year, because that would mean quite simply that inflation would be just out of control. We definitely do not want to have COLAs or inflation at 8 to 12% every single year. We need to get that closer down to that benchmark of 2%. Now, other than the Federal Reserve meeting taking place later on today, of course, some Social Security beneficiaries will be receiving their first payments today in the month of June. So those payments are going to be right around $1,800 on average. We're going to be discussing who is going to be receiving this payment, as well as the payment schedule for the remainder of this month of June. And then we're also going to be taking a sneak peek in July and August as well. So according to The Sun, Social Security 2023 updates average direct payment of $1,801 dropping imminently. So Social Security payments, which are worth $1,801 on average, are sent out on the second, third, and fourth Wednesdays of each month. Recipients are sent their COLA checks depending on when their birthday is. Those with birthdays that fall before the 10th of the month can expect their checks on June 14th. So we can see the payment schedule up on the screen now. Today, June 14th, those payments are going to be going to those with birthdays between the 1st and the 10th of the month. And then on the 21st next week, it's going to be going to those with birthdays falling between the 11th and 20th of the month. And then finally on the 4th Wednesday of the month, in 2 weeks, on June 28th, that's going to be going to those with birthdays falling between the 21st and the 31st of any given month. Now you can also see there's going to be another payment going out on June 30th. That's going to be going to those recipients currently receiving SSI. Now, if you receive SSI, you would have also have received a payment on June 1st. So you're probably wondering why you're getting two payments. That's because your July 1st payment, July 1st actually falls on a Saturday. And anytime the first of a month falls on a Saturday, a Sunday, or a holiday, you're actually going to be receiving that payment a day or two earlier. So that's why you're going to be receiving two payments in the month of June if you're receiving SSI. And also that means that in July, you're not going to be receiving a single payment at all. So even though you're receiving two payments in the month of June, if you're on SSI, you're not going to be receiving anything all the way until August, on August 1st. And then also if you're on SSI, you're going to be receiving two payments once again in the month of September. And again, just like this month, even though you're going to be receiving two payments in the month of September, that just means that you're not going to be receiving anything in October. So just keep that in mind whenever you're budgeting. It's not any type of bonus payment or anything like that. You're just receiving that payment a day earlier because the following day is a Saturday. And again, anytime the first of a month falls on a weekend or a holiday, you're just going to be receiving your payment a little bit earlier. That's why you're getting two payments in those months. But that's all the news that I have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.